the Dormition, the falling asleep, or the Assumption of the Virgin Mary. The Feast of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary is presented on a half dome on the western side of the first choir, which has now been moved to a museum next to the church. This fresco represents the Dormition, the falling asleep, of the Virgin Mary, and the ascension of her body to heaven. This scene was not usually represented in icons of early Christianity and became popular only in the 8th century. There is a difference between the representation of this scene in the Coptic Church and in the Syrian Orthodox Church. St. Mary is presented in the Egyptian drawings lying with her head to the right, while in the other paintings her head is facing to the left. Another significant difference in St. Mary's image at our Syrian Monastery is the appearance of 2 angels holding liturgical fans. This scene is displayed in front of the western altar named for St. Victor and shows the Virgin Mary lying on her bed at the time of the Assumption. The scene of the Assumption of the Virgin Mary has 2 lines in black and grey which split the image into 2 halves representing the earth and the sky. The lower section has a clear green background representing the earth. The upper section has a blue background filled with many different stars representing the sky. The scene is a sequence of 3 events in one subject. They are the passing of the Virgin Mary, Jesus Christ receiving the Spirit of St. Mary, and the ascension of St. Mary's body to heaven. In the middle, we can see St. Mary sleeping on a bed covered in brown curtains, folded in parallel lines and decorated with lotus buds in green, red and blue. St. Mary's head rests on a red pillow surrounded by a halo, and she is wearing a loose blue dress encircling her legs and covered by a purple cloak. Her crossed hands rest on her chest. Behind the middle of the deathbed stands Jesus Christ. His hair is parted down the middle with layers of hair framing his face, like the angel who appeared during the Annunciation. We will discuss this later on. Jesus Christ has a short beard and moustache, and his head is surrounded by a halo with the sign of the cross imprinted in the aura. He is dressed in a dark red robe with loose blue sleeves and gold cuffs. In his hands he holds the Spirit of St. Mary, presented in the form of a newborn baby, wrapped in white dress, and his name is written in Syriac over his head. In a round medallion on each side of Christ stands a cherub, each holding a gold flabellum or liturgical fan. Both are dressed in a rose-coloured robe and a red cape. The upper section of the dome is coloured dark blue to represent the sky, with stars in the form of flowers. At the very top of the half dome, we find a large halo in the form of a lotus flower or bud, and a heavenly shape carried by 2 winged angels facing away from it. The angel on the right has a beard. Evelyn White described the image of the human inside the halo to be that of Jesus Christ ascending to heaven after the Assumption. However, others say it is probably the Virgin Mary after her death. In the lower portion of the image, we find the 12 disciples, standing to the side of St. Mary, 6 on the right and 6 on the left, as witnesses to the Assumption of St. Mary's whole body to heaven. They are all dressed in the same way, consisting of a robe, a coat, and sandals all of the same cheerful colours, and they direct their attention to the Blessed Virgin Mary. Standing beside St. Mary's head is St. Peter the Apostle, while St. John the Beloved is kneeling at her feet, and behind them the remaining apostles are ranged on each side. St. Peter the Apostle can be recognised by his white beard and his combed hair. He is wearing a red coat and a pink tunic, with both his hands crossed on his chest beside his neck and beard. He can also be identified from the other disciples on the right by his age. The remaining disciples all have black hair and are standing in slightly different positions. Of the disciples standing on the left-hand side, the first has a broad forehead and black hair. He is kneeling at St. Mary's feet and kissing them. This is St. John the Beloved, dressed in a yellow tunic with a blue robe. Beside him stands an old person with long white hair and a white beard. The remaining young disciples stand behind, all with black hair. This depiction of St. Mary on the fresco in the northern half dome dates from the 10th century and is a combination of Coptic and Syrian artistic styles. The only letters appearing on this image are the name of Jesus Christ above his head.